Let's just listen to typing sounds. The typing of Forresty. Welcome to this week's What the Heck.
I was leaning in really far because I was trying to breathe into my...
We have me and Forrestine, Baby Bartok. We'll see if anybody wants to join. Hit me up in the somewhere. And this has been a weird. Like Forrestine joined the like before we go streaming live, and I was just like, I didn't even realize I still had my sound effects on. Like,
Hello, how's it going? Yeah, welcome to What the Heck. Today we're going to talk about sub-oscillators.
No, we're not. Sub-oscillators are cool, but not talking about that. Unless you want.
Yeah, that's how I was greeted today, was with that voice.
Yep. That's what I do when I'm by myself. I just talk to myself.
What? Sometimes I go really high, but, you know.
All right, no more effects. Accidents. Okay, so let's do super fast intros. Who are you and what's your most problematic module? I'll go first. Hex 7, I do noise. And most problematic module has probably got to be the... Well, it was definitely the Megadrone. So Megadrone wins for now, and it was because I built it in a way that was customizable. So it was entirely my fault. So I removed the customizable bits, and now it's solid as a Megadrone.
Oh, so you made it problematic.
I made it problematic. I was like, because it's sort of like a choose your own adventure DIY project where you get to pick your own capacitors to put in there within a specific range, because each different capacitor you put in there has a different pitch, and also the when you're adjusting the pitch, the curve is different per capacitor, I think, and that
Right.
makes it so that if you've got several different values in there and you do like the this knob, hold on, I guess you can't hear any of that. I don't remember why, but I do remember why. If I do, that's what makes that happen is the different capacitors. Anyway, I was like, I don't know what capacitors I want to use, so I socketed all 10 of them, and capacitors and the sockets I use are like kind of a loose fit. So at some point I had to like whack them, or like I tried taping them a little better in there.
Oh,
And it just was never good. So that's what I was streaming the other day, was undoing my clever solution. Yeah.
I understand it.
What about
I
you?
do that when I'm sewing so much. I'm like, I am way smarter than this pattern. I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, why did I do that? Like, then no. Like,
Yeah, I thought I was being super cool and clever and I could swap them out, and I did that once, but then it was just like sketchy the whole time. And the worst part wasn't that sometimes an oscillator would stop working because there was no connection. It was that there would be a poor connection. So like, when you turn the knob to go up when everything's in tune, all of a sudden like 3 of the oscillators would be like way out of tune, and it doesn't, if even just one is out of tune, it's very noticeable. So yeah. Cool. What's your most problematic module?
I'm Forestine and I make slow things, and I'm not going to say any DIY modules because my partner is my DIY friend. I will say the shifty, which I keep wanting to like, and my partner and I both tried to like, and we keep putting it in our cases and then trading back and forth, and it just like it's supposed to split up a sequence so you can play it on several oscillators at once, kind of. And that would totally work if you had a whole bunch of the identical oscillator.
Right.
But if you don't, it's like basically impossible to tune anything. And
yes.
they added more features, but like the sequential switch, etc., only works in one direction and not the direction I need it to go. So it's getting yeeted real soon.
Yeah, I'm. There's a reason like the buttons are still dangling on my sequential switch. Is that I mostly just use it as an on-off switch.
Switches are great if they go in the direction you would like to switch to. But
yes.
when you're like, I want to make one output have 2 different sequences on it, not one sequence moving between several outputs.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the latter a few times, and I find it hard to be performable with my current setup. That could change with the Eurorack model, blah blah blah. But the problem I found was like, if my sequence is going to a single oscillator, right? Like I can, go down an octave or detune it or whatever, like, and it happens to all the notes. If I have 4 different oscillators, I'm like, and like something's out of tune and I can't figure out which one it is. Just a nightmare for me, so I don't do that very often.
Like there was a piece of information I wish I had gotten when I was first getting into this, and that is that different oscillators expect different amounts of voltage. And I didn't know that,
Yes.
so I have an assortment now.
I mean, yes, even like the same oscillators are slightly different, but they do mostly okay. You can see these 2 are getting a little bit less power than they probably want, so they're flashing at me a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to replace that power supply soon too.
Yeah.
I love building power supply. I'm actually hoping this is the last time I have to touch a power supply for like a year or so. And it's the OG box, so, that's fine. And, 15 months, no, maybe less than that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15 modules. See, I know my stuff.
Cosmo is
Sometimes.
big. There's only
It is,
15
right?
there.
Like this, the 80 centimeters is 15 modules. Like for comparison, in 64 HP with like fairly large modules, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 6 modules, and like one of these modules, like 2 of these, like 1.5 of these modules space. Like it's so yeah, excited for Eurorack, which is why I've got this like way overbuilt Eurorack box here to turn you on so you can at least look pretty. And then I have another Cosmo box here that doesn't have any modules in it currently because that requires decision making, and I'm not there yet, but I can turn that on too because it has lights.
Lights are good.
Nope, I don't have a cable for it. Never mind. I built more boxes than I have cables for. Oh, Schmooster, surprise visit. Turn on, I wonder, vertical camera.
There we go.
There we go.
Now it's not just your ceiling light. Introduce yourself, Gaz.
Yeah, who are you and what's your most problematic module?
Oh, we can't hear you.
What? Yeah, we can't hear you at all.
You're muted.
Oh, enthusiastic electrons.
Is that better?
About me.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I can't actually hear you.
Oh,
hang on.
I keep wanting to like do bass rhythms and stuff, but then there's that delay, so I know I'd be off no matter what I did.
Just do a really slow one.
I'll just do one note. Let's see here. Wait, that's really ominous. There's just Smooster.
Can you hear us now? True.
Nope. All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll loop back to. I think Schmooster's most problematic module is. Definitely audio and video on streams. Wait. Testing. Hello. Here, I'll just do the intro again. Everybody just rewind 10 minutes. Double Schmooster.
Is there another one?
Too.
Okay.
This is getting good.
So, I think I need to put my headphones to be able to hear.
Yeah. And also we're echoing too.
We can hear ourselves for sure. Testing.
Yeah, now I can have like conversations. Why are there two of me?
And we can still hear ourselves, even though you have headphones on, magically.
What's happening is this is like the chaos early days of what the heck, and it's great.
Don't worry, we'll sort it out when we go live.
Yeah, we'll figure this out later. We'll edit this all out.
Yeah.
Tim, are you coming?
Yeah, you want to invite? Let's see here. I'm just going to send it. And if not, paste. There you go. Turn off the embeds because they're lame. Okay. Yeah, so now that we can hear you, who are you and what is your most problematic module?
Problematic? I've got all of them. They're all problematic because they do things.
And you don't know what they're doing.
And you have to remember what those things are, or you have to get some display of it, or you have to look at some level, or you have to listen to something. It's all change all the time.
And it's not like you could
And-
say unpatch something and find out what it's doing. That would be impossible.
Hey now.
Right,
Hey now.
least problematic mix mode. Mix mode is the
Oh.
easiest to deal with.
Least problematic module. That's awesome. I don't have a
Like,
least problematic module. Nope, this one, the phone, because it does one thing.
The phone, it does the phone, and that's it.
Yep. Just good old. That was like the funniest.
I know. I've got a 5-way switch that I really don't use much, and like I should work out some kind of performative reason to use this switch.
Yeah,
We're just talking about not using switches.
Yeah, look at that. One works.
Yeah.
It just I don't use it because there's no cables in it. Fun story. There's no cables in this row really outside of the obviously the button. But I'm trying to like see if I can just use these two boxes for a live setup. So I'm gonna like maybe move that module down somewhere. Different talk for a different day.
It's hard to think of your least problematic module because if it's not problematic, you don't think about it at all. You just patch it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so the Kermit freezes up once a day, but
it's running 24/7, right? So like that's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's
everything
still
else
not
manages.
good, but that's crazy.
That's a lot of freezing.
Hey, Mimi. I've got a little cat by me. Yeah, it freezes up, but there is a firmware update. But I need to get a Pickit 3.
Oh yeah, you have to use a
programmer
to update the firmware on it.
Yeah, I mean it's 20-something quid. I'll get it next month, maybe. But I was waiting on that for ages, but I just I look at the light every morning when I wake up and reset it. Otherwise,
Yep. DB Pollen is saying that their most problematic modules are just problematic on different power supply units, and like that is something I'm very familiar with. Like on my on this box on a previous before I put in the Meanwells, I had FC UK power supplies in here, and the Rample and the FC UKs did not get along. Like it just would not start to the point where I had to make my own bus board and a power switch just for that bus board, like just for these Eurorack, just so I can flip it on and off quickly without having to like pull the module out, unplug it, plug it back in. Which was kind of a nightmare, but with the Meanwell, it seems to be rock solid. So that's more like I don't even need the thing behind there anymore, which is great.
I noticed that on the Nifty case, even when it was supposedly way below spec, there were certain things that, like, Pam's crashed once. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Or, like, I couldn't get things to come out of, like, all my noise sources. Sometimes they would be quiet, and it was, like, I think it was power problems.
I did also, speaking of, we should talk about which modules we've crashed, because that's kind of cool just to know. The data bender I crashed by sending the clock signal out of the error instruments Spanky. It sort of sent out a signal.
Like that one?
Well, it was when I sent the signal out extremely fast. Like it's got a button that here that lets you toggle between like a slow sort of binary step sequencer or clock divider rate here to like audio rate like instantly, and the data bender did not like that for whatever reason and just stopped like it let original sound through, but it would not do any data bending after that without like turning it off and on. So I wonder if it's a rate thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. When Pam's crashed, I don't know what I was doing, but I was streaming on AMS, and that was when I realized I had done enough streams because I wasn't panicked or anything. I just shut my whole synth off and turned it back on, and I kept playing. I felt like that was a good achievement, but I don't know what caused the crash.
Oh,
I think I've been
DV's
banned
crashed the
by-
core 2 with the ornament and crime. That's frustrating.
I crashed the SMR with the rotate triggers.
Oh, were you going really fast?
I think so, yeah. And I won't use them now, and I'm kind of I'm in the middle of a bug report from like a year and a half ago, and I haven't recorded a video showing the problem, so they probably haven't fixed it. They might have found it otherwise, but I might have been doing a weird case.
Yeah,
That's
think of-
true. It's like when I was trying to explain my grandmother problem with the weird clocks, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like,
if Enthusiastic Electron's mom is watching, the grandmother problem is referring to a synthesizer, not a grandmother.
not you. Almost mesmerizing.
Oh, yeah, I've got one of the best dice.
That's nice.
Why is it one of the best dice?
It's only 5.
Oh wait, it's
only
only 5s. It would take me way too long to notice that. Like you could use that for an entire D&D campaign, and I wouldn't even notice. That's so good.
That's kind of the aim. But I've only got the 5.
Oh, you need a 20.
Yeah, like,
I think people would catch it 2020 a lot faster.
Yeah, I think so. But throw one of those 5s in there with your other dice, and you're golden. Yeah, I'm looking at the topics I wrote down. I'm gonna save one for Bartok because it was a suggestion from Bartok. But
I didn't read those. I'm going to be surprised by everything you say.
You know, it's okay. There's only 2. There's not. Well, there's 3. The first one, Forstein, you bought a sequencer finally.
I got distracted.
You bought a sequencer finally, and like right now, it's the best sequencer you've ever got because you haven't touched it yet, right? Like it hasn't done anything wrong.
I know, I'm not angry at it at all.
Hasn't done anything right either, but like, hey.
I did buy a sequencer, and it is not here yet, and I'm currently worrying about FedEx. But
oh yeah,
very excited.
What? Tell me about this sequencer because I know almost nothing. I like looked at a picture of it and was like, I assume I know some of what this does, and then I clicked it elsewhere and did some other stuff. Like that was about the extent.
Well, it was kind of funny because I've been trying to find a sequencer forever. People have seen me be very belligerent on Discord. I get so frustrated.
It was frustrating for everyone because like everyone has their own opinions of what a good sequencer is. So Forrestine would be like, I want this, and this. And they'd be like, but that doesn't exist. And you should try this one that I like. Like, that's not how conversation works.
But also, there were a few things that happened there.
Yeah.
Like, one, I have mostly been using an SQ1, and it just did not occur to me that there aren't very many medium-sized sequencers that aren't gigantic. And so I thought I was being reasonable, and everybody's like, what about the Renee? And I'm like, I literally have said this to several people that 34 HP was offensively enormous to me. And then people are like, what about the Clay? And I'm like, it's like 60!
Schmooster's back.
But then also, it turned out, and this actually went all the way to the end of my search, people kept telling me to get the Renee.
Yep.
At least 2 people told me they've never figured out how to save a sequence on it ever.
Yeah, so I don't know enough about the Renee, but I feel like...
But also, everyone who told me to get the Renee no longer has the Renee because they didn't like it for some reason. I'm like, why are you telling me to get it then?
I think the Renee is a style thing, right? Like it's like make noise, like their entire lineup is right. Like it's for specific types of people. Like probably not me.
Well, the reason people kept recommending it to me, they kept recommending creative sequencers that help you be creative, and I want a very straightforward sequence because my brain is creative and I need some structure. And so they kept like being like, well, what about the bloom? Or what about this generative thing? And I'm like, I don't want a generative sequencer at all, actually, even though I make ambient. Like everybody is mistyping me. And so I got a Stilson Hammer Mark II, which is industrial music electronics and is very straightforward and has sliders and does the things I said I wanted and is 32 HP, which is not as enormously huge as the other one.
Right, you can get a 2 HP module in addition to it and fit in the same space.
I mean, I have to remove a bunch of stuff because I never thought I would be putting a sequencer in my case, to be honest. Like ever.
Hey, we've got DB Pollen too. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like from watching a lot of Renee videos, because it is a very interesting sequencer to me. I do think you would enjoy it, but it's one of those that I feel like you should probably play first, like borrow from somebody and like get a feel for it, because it's a big commitment.
Problem with living in the middle of nowhere, which makes me end up agonizing over things for so long, is there's nowhere I can test anything. I live exactly as far as you possibly can from both of the sequencer or the synth shops in Canada, like equidistantly 3,000 kilometers away from both of them. And also, I really hate make noises like cryptic thing. Like, I just want them to tell me what things are, and I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there. Yeah, so there's a time and place for that, right? Like the Bastel instruments, like the soft pop, the manual is like even just reading the back, like soft pop is a modular analog noise creature. It's playful, stubborn, rowdy. Like it's written like a make noise manual, but with a little more clarity. Make noise stuff like the Morphogene was a bit of a curve just to understand. And I'm not like judging them too much, but it's like a type. Like I would happily have a make noise box, right? Like just for like unexpected, like having a conversation with the developers type thing of the modules or with your synthesizer or whatever. But it's definitely not like if you want to be intentional and know specifics of what things do, that's not they're not the manuals.
Right. And like I'm like, okay, I'm telling people that I want to put in the notes I want out of my head in a specific order, and they're telling me to get the Renee, which you can't like control.
Yeah.
Everybody is wrong.
Hey, DB, can you hear us? And can we hear you?
Yes.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah. Welcome. What we have to do the quick super intro. Like, who are you, and what's your most problematic module?
So I'm DB Pollen. I perform as Wabi Sabi. My most problematic module is one that I don't have anymore because it was so problematic. The General CV from Extra Sleepers.
Okay.
It was. What's that?
Why was that?
So I talked with Andrew Osler, Extra Sleepers, and he admitted that there's something funky about the circuit. So if I plug in, and I was mentioning modules on different power supplies, if I plug in a module from a different power supply into the General CV, it would crash. It would just absolutely crash. Yeah. So and if I plugged in from the same PSU, it was no problem. But different PSUs, he said it was like a voltage drop on the ground or something. I don't know electronics well, so yeah. So I didn't. He never got fixed. I mean, he sent me some, private firmware betas to try, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no for some modules that crash, there's no way to fix them without power cycling one way or the other. And that can be really painful depending on what
depending on what else is going on.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, that's fine. I mean, I got rid of it. It was okay. The only thing that I really used it for was its piano sound, right? But I got the Distinct EX and it has fantastic piano sound, so didn't need it.
Does it? Nice. Yeah, I need something like that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful module.
Do you know what they've based the piano on?
Yes, the soft piano sound from that UK-based sample instruments guy. What are their names? I forgot his name. UK based. They do a lot of stuff.
It's not like a subset of a Yamaha license or something.
Spitfire audio. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really, really great sounding piano. Very soft, felt piano. But you can multi-sample into the module, so I'm going to multi-sample my wave state and get a nice piano in there soon.
Cool. I mean, I don't piano sounds are hard. Like I have some nice ones on my computer, but like I don't even want to try on modules. Or, like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I've been thinking about recently is expansion modules, and I think this is a good crowd to talk expansion modules. Like when you've got like a specific module, mixer or whatever, and it has an expansion module for like more CV inputs or whatever. Like I don't have any, and I just part of me is like just make it one module. Like, what do you think about expansion modules?
Exactly that. Yes. Like sometimes it's nice. It's nice to have the things separate where you might need the basic functionality in place and not any of the extra bells and whistles and like a portable case or something. But in my experience, so I've got the cycle box and that conveniently came with the expander, and if I didn't have it, I'd be missing about a third of the useful functionality.
Right. So then why not just make it the module do that?
Right.
Like
Because
I guess that's my question.
Space.
Yeah.
Just you have some options. You can buy things bit by bit. It's not as expensive to begin with, bits and pieces like that.
Well, that's like one of the sequencer suggestions was the Moskwa, and you need the expander to do any cool stuff with it, and then it's $800 with the expander. So then I was like, well, or like,
what do you? Yeah.
Sometimes this has happened to me a few times where I have something with an expander on it, and the expander is the actual functionality I want and not the main part of the module.
Yeah. I would assume form is the primary reason, like form factor and keeping it small is the main reason people separate things out into expanders. But I mean, as a programmer, when you write a function, you have some inputs and some outputs, and sometimes you kind of want to sub some of those off somewhere else, like they're an extra layer of things. Your logic as you're building the thing might separate them out. I can see why the CycleBox 2's expander is an expander, because it's fine without it, but there's some really nice things that it adds. It just maybe 2 out of 6 of the switches just happen to be on the main unit. That would have been easier, but that's
like what do you think about them, DB? Like you've got a pretty sizable rack. I imagine you've encountered a few.
Yeah, the latest. Let me bring the camera over. So the latest I got, you guys are talking about sequencers, so I have the Nerdsync here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so by itself, I mean it's a reasonably large module, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's only 6 tracks, and I say only. I mean most people can get away with just a few tracks, but I mean if you really want to do a whole composition on this and you want more tracks, you have to start adding these expanders. So this is the trigger expander, so you get 16 additional triggers. And then I have another identical module that's the CV expander, so I get 16 additional CVs. Then it's got the MIDI expander, and it also has a video expander, which you can buy. So, I mean, by itself, I could use this. This is my performance case. That's my monster. So by itself, I could use this. But if I start adding these expanders, I wouldn't want to put it in a performance case. That's just too much. So you're right. I think size is a big consideration. You're probably addressing 75% of the users when you build the basic module. The other 25% will buy the expander for their big case at home. They never perform. So.
Right. That's kind of like a good use case. Like When I was
Yeah.
looking for sequencers, one of them, the Charcot circles, basically all of the cool things were in the expander that was coming soon, and then the expander never happened.
Oh, that's
So it's
sucks.
coming soon and discontinued at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And so then it's like, well, why didn't you just wait and make a better module?
That
Yeah,
Tweety
I guess
looks very
there's
intimidating.
like there's two good cases. Like one is like there's like a Zlob sample and hold module that has like noise and there's a little expander with it, right? Like the entropy,
okay, but
right?
it's only 3 HP and the expander is only 3 HP.
Right. My point is like that one probably could just be like a single like maybe 4 or 6 HP module, right? Like
yeah, that's true.
Size isn't a huge issue there, but like for I think sequencers and mixers where there's features like MIDI that some people aren't ever going to even touch.
That makes sense as an expander, yeah.
Right, or like I've seen mixers where that you can like get a unlimited expanders for adding channels, which is kind of cool. As you need them, like that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the 512 the vector sequencer. I think it's only 4 channels of CV, right? So you can only have 4 tracks of notes. So if you don't buy the expander, it's a very limited sequencer, in my opinion. And when you buy the expander, I mean, that thing is now like 48 HP and $1,000. So that's ridiculous.
It's like you basically need the expander.
Yeah.
You basically need the expander, exactly, right.
Yes.
Right.
And like I don't think like I can't speak for them. Like I know producing these modules is an expensive task, especially if there's a fair amount of development that goes into them beyond the hardware itself.
Yeah.
But like if you're going to need both, like just make it a single module. I don't know. I don't think it's that much more expensive to produce.
I suppose that's why there's so many.
Yeah.
There's like so many faceplates for all of the Turing machines because of all the expanders for it. So you can make it be one module again.
Is there a Turing machine that has like everything built in, the pulses and the volts? Oh, is there? Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's like my Saturday morning Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yeah, so like I guess it depends on the scenario. Like I've seen a few expander modules where I'm like, that should just be part of the module. Like just do that. Like it's like 2 HP. Like come on.
Right?
Give me a reason to get rid of a module I don't like.
The Muton which I'm getting is 10 HP. Should be here tomorrow. And it's discontinued in favor of the yet to be released Muton 2, which is adding 2 HP worth of tiny attenuator, which would be the thing that you would want in that device. So that's that's a sensible choice, but it sort of hurts that it requires discontinuation of one to get the other. So I understand
that is one use for expanders.
Yeah, I understand the expander for the variance aspect of things, but if you're like if you're a very distinctive person with direct ideas, then expanders are going to be annoying.
Yeah, because it's always in the wrong place. It's the extra feature that's over here now.
There's some Basel things that are half and half. They're constructed as 2 modules and they're literally the same width.
Oh, interesting.
And that's I think so that you can decide which way round it makes most sense for you.
I still don't love that because there's still like I still have issues with space in Eurorack modules is a huge consideration. Like it needs to be as small as possible. And when you make 2 modules, you're going to end up taking up more space no matter how you do it than if it was one module.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like 1 or 2 HP, it's still.
Right. It doesn't have to be that much, but yeah. I mean, Basel are really good at keeping things tight as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm leaning forward too much. Hang on. I need to. There we go.
Are those the faceplates that literally have like the signal flow arrows that when you put two modules together, they literally go from one place to the next. So you like have to put it on the right side, and then the other expander you have to put it on the left side.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody produced modules like that where the faceplates actually meet up when you add the expanders to them.
Was that that sounds like, I'm not sure if they're arrows or not, but I was thinking it was Dreadbox actually. Like some of their older modules like had lines
That seems
sort of
like something they would do.
But I don't know if they were arrows or not. So we'll have to.
Seems to me it was a
that's
newer,
a mystery.
Seems to me it was a newer module selection. I forgot what it was. Yeah.
I think Enthusiastic Electrons is having their own conversation.
No. Participating. Enthusiastic Electrons is saying they're making the Muck Slicer now, which is, you've been on a Buffaco binge, so that's cool. But it'll be a minute.
Expander.
Yeah, it'll be just a short amount of time before you get the expander.
I got the Muck Slicer. I love that module.
I don't even know what it does. Is it a function or mixer or what?
It's like the Buffaco stages.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Actually.
Okay.
There are 8 channels of CVs basically, and you have common audio ins and audio outs per channel, and you have common gate out and individual gate outs per channel. So you can set it up as a sequencer. You can have it do all sorts of funky things. You can even use it as a mixer, sequential switch, does all that stuff.
Oh, that thing's rad then. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Buffaco stages.
Looks like a stages, yeah.
That's cool.
I had a revelation where my future plans for purchases do not include enough envelope generators.
I'm also finding myself short of envelopes.
Yeah, I feel like I will need more than I have mapped out, and I'm not sure if that's because of some recent experience or some, don't know, just detaching from things a bit and then looking at them afresh.
Yeah. I love envelopes. I like having one per voice, like minimum. And I don't have enough, and I'm looking at some for the Eurorack case, and I just haven't been happy with what I've seen. Like there's a bunch of really nice utility modules folks have recommended that I'll probably get, but like I'm pretty much looking for a fairly standard ADSR with potentially like looping options or something like that. Like
nothing has enough envelopes on it.
VC. What was that?
Nothing has enough envelopes on it. Like most ADSRs are like 1.
And like Attack Decay is okay, like, but I really do like ADSR, like with the full four stage sequence.
That's why I have 5 of these, the Mutable Instruments Peaks.
So 5 of them.
I have 5 of them. Yeah, some are larger. This is the 4 HP one.
How many envelopes do you get out of it? 1?
You get 2 envelopes, but they're ADSR, and they're the bouncing ball envelopes, looping envelopes, all sorts. But I mean, you can get these for $120. Fantastic modules. It's my favorite module in Eurorack by far.
I'm thinking about getting a 1U Peaks.
A 1U? Oh, yeah.
Because I can finally take out my 1U arpeggiator that's terrible and should feel bad.
If that's dual for the size, that's really good because Bofa's best offering is about double that size, a quad ADSR, which all 4 follow the same ADSR settings. Different figures, but the same shape.
Oh my gosh, DB! I think you solved my problems. I love this instrument because it's very similar to my current ADSRs, and I absolutely love them. Where you can run it as an envelope LFO. It's got tap triggers, so you can purposefully trigger it or hold it if you want.
Tap LFO,
Yep. And I think the split, if I'm reading this right, if I turn on split, the top 2 knobs become Attack Decay, bottom 2 knobs Attack Decay on the second.
So there's 2 different splits. There's the split mode, so this will be AD on the first channel, this will be AD on the second channel. And then there's the expert mode, which if you hold it down, it becomes 2 separate channels of ADSR. So you just push the button once for channel 1, push the button twice for channel 2. All 4 ADSR. Plus, it has the best 808 style bass drum and snare in the business. Absolutely fantastic bass and snare.
So in drum mode, it's got a high. It's probably an exponential curve with a really steep transient, right? Right.
Yeah, it's all adjustable. Right. It's all adjustable.
Okay. Okay.
You got pitch. You got decay. Yeah, it's all very, very customizable. Plus, if you have the deadband catch firmware to it, you got all sorts of stuff. It's got 4-step sequencer or 8-step sequencer actually. It's got oscillators. It's got.
I'm sold. I want to pick up a handful of those. Those look perfect for what I want. No, really. Like I think 4 is a good number, unless there's like somebody who makes a quad peaks in one panel. But I think 4 is fine because you can sort of spread them around.
Oh, you can name it after a mountain range.
Yeah. Well, that's what After Later Audio does. They name all their peaks variations on mountain ranges. So I have one called Rainier, which has the CV in for each of the knobs.
Yeah. I haven't toyed with that. There is a Cosmo format voltage control ADSR that's currently sold out, just temporarily because it's electric Druid chips. That's basically mine with voltage control for each step, and I don't even know what I would use that for, but I think with the new box I'll probably pick one of those up just so I can start playing with it.
Yeah, CalSynth and Michigan Synthworks makes the best ones in my opinion. They're really solid metal knobs and everything.
Device X, I agree with you. Sliders are awesome. Like some of these modules up here, I think that the C-Torp modules have sliders, and I love them. They're the only Cosmo I have with sliders.
I really like the idea of the F8R.
What's that one?
I want that. Like 8 sliders in one place that you can set independently or wiggle around as needed, and you don't have to go searching around the rest of your patch for dials and knobs. And
is it essentially like attenuators or attenuverters, like a
lapsus off?
It sets a level. So
okay.
There's various times where I'm like, oh, I'd like to performatively just bring this all down or bring this all up one way or another. That would be quite handy for that, because otherwise you've got to program something to do something in the right way at the right time.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the joystick is nice for that, but I'm probably going to take it out because when it's not joystick and then nothing's happening.
Yeah, some semi-constants, variables enough, but mostly constant. And the Nerdsec's fine for that. You can hold a gate open for a long time. So, but
there is a module that Benjamin Izzo recommended to me. Let me pull it up real quick because I can never remember names. Tiny Cosmo, where are you, buddy? It's the ADAC, ADDAC. ADAC 306, and it's essentially like it looks like 5. You can set 5 voltages, and then there's a slider at the bottom that lets you control all 5 voltages at the same time, which is kind of cool. So you could control a range of things all with one slider. So that one's really interesting to me. That's
like
sort of similar.
Different scales.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but
I like
you solved my envelope issues. Like that peaks, I'll probably be picking up some peaks. That's awesome.
I like the way Ben's mind goes for those kind of complexities.
Yeah. Benjamin has great recommendations. I don't always agree with all of them, but I always note all of them in case.
Right, you're always like, okay, I need to find out. I'm
just not smart enough to understand yet.
I think he's done a lot of churn. And he's selected a lot of things through experimentation and then selling them on.
Yeah.
And then he's got this kind of rolling situation of change until he gets to the perfect rack at some point, and then he's
that will never happen.
I know, like why is he not streamed yet? Why?
Oh my gosh, there's so many peaks.
Which is fine. There are so many peakses.
Oh my gosh. This is gonna. I was like, I'm gonna add peaks to my box, and like, I can't even find like regular vanilla peaks.
Just put a U in front of it and get a small one.
It's no, I don't care if it's small or not. Like, I prefer it's not, because I don't know if you. Oh, you haven't seen it yet. Later today, on the Colorado Modular Synth Society channel, Sign Mountain's going to be going over. I think like 40 entries for a 3-module challenge. Like, it's not really a competition. It's just like 40 people who submitted like a 3-minute video or so, using 3 modules or less. And I did one of those, but I actually changed my camera angle to be really close to this little section of Eurorack, and you'll see how gigantic my hands look compared to Eurorack. Like, you can barely see anything because I like reach in, and it's just like huge.
That was like the first several Eurorack modules I got. I was like, this is so tiny. I knew it would be tiny, but it's so tiny.
Like, don't you realize I have like log fingers? Like, they're not good at things like that small. Anyway.
Well, and also if I think they're tiny, like, I have the tiniest hands, and I think they're tiny.
That's why, like, I love the idea of like a 2 HP rack, like a bunch of 2 HP modules, because I think they're one of my favorite manufacturers. Just because they have
that would be so awful to use.
But right, like, that's what I imagine. I'm like, okay, but this knob next to another one, like slightly lower, like, I'm gonna be bumping things unintentionally the whole time.
They all end up so heavy, though.
And like, I know there's going to be situations with Eurorack where, like, I've already encountered this, where I've got things drawn out on modular grid, like it's the perfect plan, right? And then I put the module in that place, and like the first best one was this the Loopman, which is just like a Walkman attached to a panel, and I had it in like the top corner, and my case, like the Eurorack's inset a little bit. I couldn't hit like any of the top buttons, like record or play or any of those. So I know there's going to be situations with knobs where I just got to move things around so that it's actually usable.
Yeah, I've done that in my performance case. Put 2 modules together because one flows right into the other, and you can use short patch cables. Then I realized I can't reach the knobs on that one on the right. Absolutely impossible.
Right, like if like a performative knob is right next to like a fine tune on an oscillator or something, like, you gotta move it.
I put a blank next to my primary oscillator because I kept bumping the tuning.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I haven't yet encountered those difficulties because I don't have any. I mean, I guess the Lucifer is kind of an oscillator, but I don't think it's 1 volt per octave, so it'll be like a very make noisy module, and how I sequence it. So we'll see.
I know some people they actually remove the knobs before performance.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard of people taking the tuning knob off their rings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like, once you get it set, just take the knob off so it's less finicky. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of like Loop Hop and DivKid. I think both have videos where they sort of interview somebody on like do a breakdown of their case. And a lot of these folks talk about stuff like that, like removing knobs before performance, like what things they pull out. Like, one of the more interesting talks I saw recently, and I can't remember who it is, but they sort of, once they get their case how they like it, like, that's the instrument. Like, there's no need to constantly change it out once you get it pretty much where you like it. If that's your thing. That, I don't think Benjamin Izzo is ever that going to be done with that. But
when's
like,
it going to be done? When?
This case is like done pretty much.
Okay, but that assumes you will run out of gas.
I do. I mean, like, but that's the thing. I have multiple cases, and like this one here is like done. Like, there's one thing, I'm going to pop this module out and replace it with 2 specific things, but that's it. Like, everything else I'm happy with. And this one, it doesn't have a place in it. It's just too crazy.
Do you mean gear acquisition syndrome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Not
petrol.
I don't know. I think the trick to beating gas is like, don't pay attention to like the new gear channels too much, and like,
I stopped watching most of them, like the reviews.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Never open modular grid ever. Never ever open it.
Right, like the way I find out about cool modules is typically from recommendations, or more likely, I watch something and I'm like, that was really cool. How'd you do that?
Mhm.
And most of the time, it's usually pretty basic. But if they have some crazy cool module, I'm into it. Like that's how I got Morphogene, which is a great module, but not for me, at least now.
I love seeing the Modbat Performer launch and spread and sort of
Yes.
dissipate and be around the place, and it's kind of pretty much 50% now. It
Yes.
just kind of it just took off nicely, and I think a lot of that was like nice people aesthetic.
Arcade buttons, like what
Yeah,
Eurorack modules have buttons that are easy to push, like
But you can see it from really far away and tell what it is.
yeah.
Aside from the functionality of the module, I thought that as Modbap's first offering, it was a well supported launch.
A lot of people demoed it.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and I also like that's pretty rare too when you hear lots of people making different kinds of music with the same module, which I've noticed with that one.
Yep.
That was one of my sequencer problems is trying to find ambient demos of things.
So you got the Stilton Hammer as a sequencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, it's not here yet.
I feel like I disconnected. Did I disconnect?
Your video place changed. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, cool. I didn't rearrange that, so I'm just gonna leave it. It's fine.
Lost the importance now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's
things running.
Yeah.
Top left.
I don't know. I think
but now our weird piles are both on the top instead of corner to corner.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. My beard is getting really long.
And now we have good lighting too, because our two windows are opposite of each other. DB and I have opposite window placement.
Art sculpture.
Beautiful. Oh, look, a sale. Yeah, I mean, when I do order, that's when I order usually more than I should. Like I ordered 3 Error Instruments modules at the same time because they got me with a combination of cool stuff, hype, and limited editions. You know, like I was like, oh snap, this Spanky has a gold spike on it, which I definitely need. Right?
You definitely need that. It'll make it sound better.
It does, which is why it's unplugged in front of you right now. But it is one of the 2 modules I use in the 3 module challenge. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's one of those magnet things. Yeah, cool.
So what 3 modules did you use?
I used the Spanky and I used the Ikery, and that was it. And I ended up.
What's the Spanky? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and so Spanky is essentially like 2 flavors of weak snare drum that you can sort of cycle through glitchy sounds a little bit, and it's got sort of a built-in clock divider-ish, like it's binary, so it's not like setting out pulses. It's like more like a help gate. And I don't have any other clock dividers, but anyway, so that's all in one module. And there's also this cool. The main reason I got it is because there's this cool like touch thing in the middle, right? And when I push that, it should go into like crazy distortion mode, which is a really cool performance feature. But on this one, it doesn't work. So I'm trying to like contact them to see what I need to do to get that to work, because that's like 70% of the reason I bought this. The other 30% was the gold spike, so like somewhat happy with it. But
is that a capacitive button or is it actually a physical push button?
It's capacitive, so I did try a fair amount of things, including using. I mean, yeah, I moisturize. I use like even wires to like I tried a bunch of things, and so like so I used that essentially as the sequencer. And then the Ikery, like I channeled my inner Tim and did a bunch of pinging of it, as well as just like, opening up the filter so you can hear the sort of snary sounds too here and there. and also a little bit of Schmooster channeling, and that I tried to use all of the sockets, and that was it. Like those were the modules. I tried more and just didn't like it, so that's what I went with.
Guys, schmoosterizing it.
Schmoosterizing.
I've got about 10 spare cables at the moment, which is good because I've got a new module on the way.
And it has 10 inputs. Nice.
I'm going to run out of cables very
9
soon.
inputs and 1 output. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like bummed that center thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think I just need to take this apart, but I can't really. This is one I can't fix on camera because I did not know this when I ordered it. But the back is pretty risque.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Betty Page on the back?
It might be. Yeah. I mean, I could. Like, it's not like X-rated, but like, I don't know.
Sure, show it. Nobody's gonna know.
It's just like that.
It's from the 50s. I'm sure it's
yeah.
fun.
It's not like the worst, but I was like, oh, okay. Did not expect that. So yeah, I'm gonna pull it apart, and oh, that's interesting. The back panel. That's funny. This entire back panel has no circuitry value at all. It's just covering up some stuff. I don't know. It's just for art.
Art reasons.
Yeah.
That's happened a lot.
But their stickers are super bomb. Like there's a bunch of different kinds, but this is cool. Yeah.
In Japanese.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with all of their modules. Didn't know what to expect with Lucifer because that like there's like one demo out there, so I'll probably do some like specific ones on these modules, just like in action. So yeah, I'll get there. I just haven't had time just yet. So
I think everyone who has a module that they couldn't find a demo for needs to make a demo. Like,
yeah,
pay it forward. Make a demo.
Like first, I want to fix this one because like this is like one of my favorite. Like I love this thing as is, even without the distortion. But like being able to like hit a button on my sequencer to completely change the pattern while like tapping this is like pretty cool. To completely change the mood, that's so rad. Like I'm psyched for it. So I don't know. I tried contacting them on Instagram since that's their most active channel. I'll try, I think, Facebook next, even though I loathe it. Sorry, Meet. I think it's Meet now, isn't it? I can't remember.
Yes, it's the Meet book.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Touchpads on the Zero Control started wigging out after it fell out of my case and hit the floor.
Hey.
We're going to get a copyright strike for that. Like, no joke. Yes. Like, it only takes a fraction of a second. Like, I was encouraged to interview at places that, like, that's their job, is to, like, copyright strike people, which I'm clearly the wrong person to talk to about that. But they just, I don't think they watch my YouTube, but I was like, heck no. But like, they were like, oh yeah, we only need like 0.4 seconds or something of an audio clip or a video clip, even in the background of somebody walking by. And I'm like,
that's gross.
You're the worst. Like,
can you just let people live?
You're just the worst. They're like, but we protect artists. I'm like, no, you don't.
That's not protecting artists.
And also, people get copyright strikes on their own music. That's happened.
Yeah, that's happened a lot. Yeah.
Apologies if that does something bad.
Yeah, it's what the heck. I don't even care if it gets copyright. I mean, as long as we can take the video down, like it's fine.
We could cut 2 seconds out of it.
Yeah, sure. Re-upload it with 2 seconds missing.
I don't think anyone said anything.
I can get you an email for Error Instruments.
But yeah, Southpaw Shorts, I would appreciate that because I mean, I don't want to send it back. Like they're across the pond. Like the shipping alone.
They should send you a coupon or something.
I mean, I'm just, even if he just like is like, here, just make sure this is working and it should work, or like I'll take it apart, take some pictures and stuff, and
my plan.
I even reflow all the points just to make sure there's good connections everywhere. But
my plan for the next 5 years is teleporters to cut down on all this logistics. So like it's just area and volume that you have to worry about, not distance.
I hope they make that sound.
The teleporter just honks.
The honk sound.
Big
That is
honking
right.
teleporters. So good. All right, we've covered the things that I wanted to complain about. Does anybody else have any topics? Like I wanted to talk about
We wanted to
expansion
complain about
modules
this and this.
and I want to talk about expansion modules and I forget what else, but we covered it. I do want to talk about in a future episode, like there's in one of the forums in the Look Mum No Computer forums, there's a thread called a litany of dumbassery, and I want to save that for more DIY folks because like they're the ones who I think blow up more things. So
Yeah, get Nelson on
I
here.
was
Yeah.
going to mention on the Bifaco point earlier, one of my, I think my second or third module was the Percol, and I plugged that in, everything looked fine. I powered it up, everything seemed fine. I plugged in a couple of cables and it went and it just blew up on me.
Delayed smoke.
Yeah, and I was like, what have I done? What have I plugged in? Where is that? Have I just given it a gigantic voltage spike or something? But no, it was like when I moved one of the sliders, it evidently shorted something somewhere. So it was a bad SMD board or something. And
that happens, yeah. Like it's not a good connection, it can heat up or worse.
I think it was Juno in the UK, and they were pretty quick about the turnaround, but they made me contact the manufacturer directly and get them to confirm that it was a manufacturing error. And not something that I'd done. And I was like, this is my second or third module. I feel like I've just destroyed it.
Yeah.
It is not a
I mean, hopefully,
it didn't feel like a manufacturing issue just because it hit me so quickly. And
they've gotten pretty good. Like they've done enough information sharing among the module manufacturers to like know to build in circuit protection. So if like an idiot like me plugs in like an input to an input or worse, output to an output, like things won't break. And like some modules like this one, like Error Instruments, like a lot of their stuff is very like circuit bendy, like they're circuit bending things on purpose with this module. And this one can crash, which is why there's a nice little reset button here. So like, yeah, and this one sometimes does weird stuff. So yeah,
I've never seen a module with a reset button. That's kind of cool on the front.
Reset button on this one, and it's been needed once.
It reboots the entire module, huh?
Yeah, it fully hard resets it. It's pretty cool.
I've never seen that. That is cool.
I would have loved that on the Ramble.
Yeah.
Reboot in the menu on the Kermit, and there's a reboot key sequence you can hold down on the Nerdsync, but I don't know if that always will work if it's frozen or something. But apart from that, no.
Yeah, there's a MIDI reset on the Nerdsync. I know some extra sleeper modules have a complete reboot in the menus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well MIDI sometimes can get stuck.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Thankfully, I think on the Pyramid, I don't know what led to this decision, but I think the stop button is like a full MIDI stop, like basically a MIDI reset button. Because which is cool, because like weird things like my A10 Mini, for whatever reason, like if I plug that in, I would show you, but like then my video and audio would cut out. So I'll have to show you some other way. But like if I unplug it and then plug it back in, whenever it starts up, it fires off some MIDI on note for like a bass somewhere. So like it's like super low, and I'm like, it took me the longest time to figure out what was causing it. But it's why I don't even know. Apparently, I don't know. I have MIDI stuff.
MIDI grandma.
Yeah. Anyway, I deal with that every time I turn it on, but I'm used to it at this point. All right, I think it's time to call it. Remember, in let's see, a little less than 3 hours, there's going to be that Colorado Modular Synthesizer with a bunch of those 3-minute videos, and I think it's just like it's a huge list, including Enthusiastic Electrons. I think is on there.
I think Cauldron of Bats. What time is that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. It's at 2 p.m. Mountain,
Thanks.
which is in around 3 hours.
2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. here.
And yeah, I'm planning on just like doing some building and listening because I think it's like, when do you get a chance to listen to a wide variety of cool artists in less than 10 minutes per track? Like,
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, I think it's cool. You only put like a couple minutes at a time on it.
Yeah. So we'll get some. It might just be a bunch of drum sequences.
You know what I did when this whole first 3-module challenge started out? I have an Excel spreadsheet of all the modules that I own, and I put a random generator algorithm on there. So
that's cool.
3 modules. So every time I refresh the spreadsheet, another 3 modules comes up. Some of them, I mean, it's like, you know, two multis and a PSU. Obviously, it doesn't make sense, but
right.
Cool. Yeah,
you got to refresh after that. Like, you got to get some decent combo, and like the combo matters. Like, I had the data bender in the mix first, which is how I crashed it with this, by the way. And I just wasn't like it was doing too much of it. So I don't know. I didn't enjoy it in this scenario. So
too much.
So I was like, I just pulled those cables, and I was like, 2-module challenge. Let's go.
That worked. Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. So see you all there. I'm gonna. Forstein's gonna play us out.
No, I don't have anything. I can go beep beep boop.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Can you play me something to go with it?
Here, we'll just do let's see, let's go here and turn those off and just do bass.
Boop, boop, boop. This has been What the Heck? Etc. Other sounds. I am now very self-conscious about this.
Well, how about this?
Keep it going.
Oh yeah.